Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to MSM's webinar on the return on investment regarding your MBA. We know that the MBA costs a lot of money, and so we thought it might be good to walk through it and why people actually bother investing in an MBA, and also then obviously what makes our MSM MBA worthwhile to discuss today. So I'm going to share my screen now. So my name is Hermina, and I'll introduce my colleague as well very shortly. But let us start with the webinar and get the topic going. So thank you for joining today. As I mentioned, my name's Romina, and I'm in charge of the enrollment and career services at Maastricht School of Management. I actually also did the MBA at MSM myself a few years ago, and so I also like to talk a bit about it from my experiences. With me today, Alina, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Hermina. My name is Alina. I'm originally from Romania, have been living in the Netherlands in the past 8 years, and I am the recruiter for the Global Online MBA. So it's basically the same MBA program, but in a different format. Um, and fun fact, I'm also a student for the Global Online MBA, so I do practice what I preach. Uh, I'm very excited to speak to you today. Enjoy the session.
Alina, thank you. So today, what we're going to be talking about, obviously, I will give you a little bit of information about the Netherlands, MSM, the university, to just give you that background knowledge that you might need when making that decision before we jump right into the topic. And to be able to really talk about the return on investment, it is important to first look at the market needs. So what is the market looking for? And then we will look at how this MBA can actually help you prepare for those market needs. So what the MBA actually offers you and the expected returns you can get from doing MSM's MBA. Before we go through to the practical information, all the costs, the scholarships, and all of that. And then, of course, there'll be time for question and answers. Now, that being said, during the webinar, there is a chat function. And if at any time you have a question, you can put that in the Q&A of the webinar function. You'll see there's a Q&A function, and you can actually ask the question. Alina is on standby for all of that. So any questions you want to post, put it in the Q&A. And then while I'm talking, Alina will also post some of the links regarding some of those topics during the webinar as well. So also her email address, so that if you've got any follow-up questions, all of that she'll put in the chat. So there are two different functions. The chat is Alina giving you the information and the links, and the Q&A function is for any questions you might have, okay? And if we do have time at the end, we'll take the time to go through those questions. All right, so let's start. First question, obviously, why the Netherlands? It's a small country in Europe and often overlooked, mistakenly, for its education because it is ranked as one of the top 5 education systems in the world. So it's a very good higher education institution reputation. And in general, the people speak very good English. They are fluent in English, which makes it very easy as an international student to come and study and work and live in the Netherlands. What's really special about the location that we're at is that it's also surrounded by 3 borders. So you've got this very central location, which makes it very nice as well from a cultural perspective, but also just for traveling opportunities while you're here as a student. And then, of course, the Dutch culture is famous for being hierarchical, having that non-hierarchical flat system. We can really easily talk to one another and to your boss, and to just really have that open relationship. The Dutch people are known for being open-minded and tolerant in general, and that they also have a very forward-thinking, innovative, sustainable mindset, which makes it a great country to live in. Not only that, but obviously one of the questions I often get is about the career prospects. Now, we will focus a little bit on that today because that is linked to the topic of the return on investment. But it is also very important to realize that if you study an MBA in the Netherlands, you can stay for another year after your studies to stay and work in the Netherlands without needing a work permit. So you use what we call the orientation year permit. And the orientation year permit really gives you that carte blanche for that 1 year. And you can do projects or consulting, you can work, or you can just enjoy life for a bit, get some experiences. But in that 1 year, you don't need a student permit, you don't need a living permit, you don't need a work permit. That orientation year permit allows you to stay in the Netherlands for that year after your studies. And obviously the students take that opportunity to look for work during that year to be able to prove themselves to the companies after they've studied the MBA. And then just a final fun fact is that the work-life balance in the Netherlands is incredible. It's one of the happiest nations in the world because of this extremely well-balanced work-life, the way they've set it all up. So in any case, something also to know that students always say it's really incredible here that they can actually work to live rather than live to work. So then we talk a little bit more about Maastricht itself. So we're a city in the south of the Netherlands. We are squished in between Belgium and Germany. And it's actually a really, really, really beautiful city. And I've spoken to a lot of people. I'm also not from the Netherlands myself. And everyone I know says Maastricht it's like a fairy tale. And so when you are in Maastricht, you'll see it's like this combination of very modern and very historical. It's got a very rich culture. It's very vibrant. It's a student city, so there's a lot of things going on all around the whole time. But it's also safe. And so students always describe it. It's a smaller city than some of the big cities in the north of Amsterdam, like Amsterdam and Rotterdam. And students always say that they feel safe in Maastricht, and it's like small enough to feel at home, but big enough never to get bored. So great place to set up for a wonderful year of studying. So then why the University of Maastricht? Why UM? So the first thing to know is that the University of Maastricht is a young university. It's actually ranked as one of the top 10 best young universities in the world. And your degree is also going to be Triple Crown accredited thanks to the university's reputation. So this is something that's important because it means that your degree will be recognized worldwide. You've got the AACSB accreditation, which is an American accreditation. You've got the AMBA accreditation, which is a UK accreditation. And you've got EQUIS, which is a European accreditation. I mean, these three accreditations are the top accreditations for quality of an MBA in the world. So knowing that is also very assuring. Also, good to know, but as an MSM student, you will have access to all the university's facilities, their student activities, their student clubs, their sports activities, all the libraries and student rooms, and career services and support services that they offer. In fact, right now at the UM today, we've got what we call the Maastricht Business Days, and all our students are there meeting with companies, even though it's not MSM organized, it's university organized, and they have access to all of that. So how does it work? Well, Maastricht is the business school within the university. And we're one of the oldest business schools in the Netherlands. So founded in 1952, way before the university School of Economics department was founded. And we specialize in MBAs and Master in Management. That's what we do. We don't do bachelor degrees. We don't do thousands of other weird things. We just do an MBA and a Master in Management. And we really focus on having that international global presence. So we've had a lot of nationalities come through into our programs through the last 4 years. Over 90 nationalities in the last 5 years have gone through the programs. And we have a very practical teaching approach with a very strong focus on sustainability and entrepreneurship. And I will talk about that later on in the slides. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the market needs and what do companies want. Now, what's good to know is that in the Netherlands, the Dutch job market is still relatively stable at the moment. There was a huge peak after COVID, and then it stabilized for a bit, and now it has been increasing again these last few months. And there are still more jobs available than people living in the Netherlands. So there's still a need for skills in the Netherlands that hasn't been filled yet. And so what are these skills? Well, obviously, it's a mixture of hard skills and soft skills. So hard skills are obviously the skills that are specific to the job. Like if you apply for an engineering job, well, those hard skills will be knowing certain engineering programs. Or if you apply for an IT job, obviously it's knowing certain IT languages like Java or C++. The soft skills, on the other hand, are extremely important here in the Netherlands, and it's that connection. It's everything to do with interpersonal skills. So it's about teamwork, communication skills, influencing skills, leadership skills, networking skills. Those are all linked to the social skills that are important in the soft skill part of the studies. Now, what do companies actually want? So this is based on research done by several different organizations. And I've taken out two of the ones that I find are the most interesting. The first one is the World Economic Forum. Every year or every second year, they bring out a top 10 skills that they think are going to be important. And these are the top 10 skills for this year that they expect. And this is obviously brought out 2 years ago. And then this is compared to the ones that they brought out just what they brought out for in 2 years' time. And you'll see there's a lot of overlap. Some have changed position and when and where they are in importance. Some have been slightly renamed. But you'll see creative thinking, analytical thinking, resilience and flexibility and stress resistance is there. Obviously, technology and artificial intelligence, those are things that are becoming super important. And then the self-learning or motivation and self-awareness is a skill that they expect to become even more important. And so these are things that companies need and want in people. And these are not all skills that you just learn from, these aren't hard skills. The artificial intelligence and big data, we obviously cover with our course like decision-making tools and digital transformation. But a lot of these things are also courses that, things that you will learn during your year as an MBA through the group works and the stress management. And I'll talk about that later. But I really wanted to highlight this because these skills are not something you can just teach yourself by going onto the internet and reading articles. This is things you have to actually learn by doing. Another thing I just wanted to highlight, interesting statistics, is that according to the World Economic Forum, 65% of the children that have started junior school today or primary school today will work in jobs that don't exist yet. Now, my son is in primary school now, and the thought that he'll be doing a job that doesn't exist yet is just for me mind-blowing. And so that's something that we also need to be aware of. And that's one of the problems with the job market right now is that people need to be upskilled. They don't have those critical thinking skills to be able to adapt to this changing situation. And that's also part of the scary thing is that a lot of the jobs will be done by machines, and we need to adapt to be able to manage that. And because of that, there are two contradictory trends, for the future of jobs. One is that there will be more technical jobs, but you also need the human-centric jobs. So there's going to be a growth in these two domains. And so job functions that they expect to become increasingly important are the jobs in sales, marketing, education, training, business management. Those are all the human-centric jobs. And then obviously engineering and IT are the technical-centric jobs. So that's why it's sort of like the introduction to what I wanted to mention so that you understand where we are and where we're going. And now I just want to look at MSM's MBA and what it offers and the expected returns. So a little bit about our MBA. Our full-time MBA is a one-year program. I do want to highlight today, I'm talking specifically about the full-time program, not the online MBA program that Alina mentioned in the beginning. This is important because we do have a part-time MBA. It's a really great program, but it has a different format. Obviously, it's not an in-class experience, it's Zoom-based. So if you do want to know more about this online MBA, we do have other webinars about that. And I can also recommend that you reach out to Alina to talk more about that specifically. So Alina, don't hesitate to put your email address in the chat if you haven't done so already. But today we just want to focus on the full-time MBA. So the first thing I wanted to highlight as well regarding that is that the full-time MBA, you need to have at least 3 years of work experience. That's the minimum. So I know in America, a lot of the universities already allow MBAs to start with 0 work experience. We don't offer that in Europe. In Europe, you need at least 3 years MBA work experience because we believe that that work experience is important to really benefit from an MBA, that sharing of knowledge, the discussions, the case study analysis that you're going to do in the classes. So that's something that's important. If you don't have the 3 years work experience, we actually do have an alternative program, and we're doing a webinar about that next week on the Master of Management. And so that's also a great program to look into. And so once again, if you're interested more into knowing about that option, Alina will put the contact details of Vessel, our recruiter for the Master in Management, so that you can reach out to him and he can or give you more information regarding that. Or of course, you can always check out our website. So talking further about the full-time MBA, our students come from all over the world. It's a very, very well-balanced profile of classes, backgrounds, not only nationalities, but then also from the different jobs that students come from. So we've got a really nice mix of students from, well, sales and marketing, management, supply chain consulting, engineering, HR, IT, logistics, all of that. So it's the whole point is, like I said, you are put into situations where you have to discuss and learn from one another. It's not just all theoretical that you're going to be sitting and studying a book and not ever apply that knowledge. And the average working age per student is about 8 years of work experience. Some have more working experience. So we've had people that are getting close to retirement. And then we've always got some people that have just got that bare minimum of 3 years of working experience. And the beautiful thing is that they learn from one another as well, because the younger generation of MBA students have much more knowledge. It's much more natural for them, all that is AI and digital transformation. Well, the older generation obviously has a much more a better understanding how businesses work and how to work with people in general. So this combination really teaches both groups learn from the experience. We do like to call the MBA a pressure cooker. Like I said, it's a 1-year program where we've basically squished 2 years of knowledge into 1 year. The reason we did that is because we want you to be as job ready as possible as soon as possible. So it's a lot of knowledge, but we really have thought about this so that you get the maximum experience in that 1 year. We've done that through providing an interesting format for doing classes. It's one class at a time. So let's take marketing, for example. You start with marketing, that's course 1. You have it for 2 weeks. In the first week, you're in class. The second week, you work on your assignments, and you don't come to class except if there's a guest lecture or a career service workshop. You work on your assignment, you submit it at the end of that week, then you move through to the next class. For example, supply chain. Once again, 2 weeks, focus on supply chain in class with a professor and with your classmates every day, 9 to 5 for that first week. And then that second week, you will then focus on the assignments, which you submit at the end of that second week. Then you move through to the next class, strategy, for example, etc., etc., etc. And throughout the year, you will have mentorship program, career services. It's called the CPDT track. I'll explain that shortly. We do some social activities, some networking activities, student competitions, and that runs throughout the year as well. I've already mentioned, though, that MSM's teaching philosophy is very hands-on, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. So the first thing I wanted to highlight is that we believe that it is way more beneficial for people to actually do things than just to read about it. In fact, many studies have proven that. So there's a lot of learning by doing through case studies, through simulation games, through visiting companies, and having obviously guest lecturers come in and talk about these real life situations. So that's also important for us because we want that experience that you really learn by getting this real life examples rather than just theoretical textbooks. Our professors also come from all around the world. They have a combination of work experience between consulting and academic knowledge. And they're also very global, but with some local professors as well, because they give the local perspective, which is so important. And very important is that they're all very approachable. So our professors have an open door policy, and it's something students often give us feedback on, is how easy it is to just go and talk to our professors at any time when they have questions. Also, what we're very, very proud of, as one of the things that sets us out as unique, is our diversity. As I mentioned, we have had more than 90 nationalities come through the last 5-6 years, and that really is because of the knowledge of MSM being present around the world. And we really have students that learn from one another and have started businesses together, that even get new perspectives thanks to the other classmates in their class. And so this diversity is very important for us for that MBA experience. Now, this is also part of the return on investment. It's one of the biggest return on investments, is the network that you create during your MBA. Many of our MBA students are still in contact with one another before they go for a job interview, or they get a promotion, or they've got some questions, or they need to revise something. They still sort of sometimes send out their proposals or questions to their group mates and ask them to give feedback even many, many years afterwards. I know I was recently at an alumni event where they said, we've had an MSM MBA group since we graduated 20 years ago. So this is the type of beauty of the networking that's so important for an MBA. And having that network all around the world just gives you so much more depth than if it was everyone from the same country. Also, I've mentioned the assignments briefly. So I mentioned the way the classes work. You've got that classwork that you've got the 1 week of class and then 1 week of assignment. And so I want to clarify that a bit more. So per course, we've moved away from exams. There are no exams. And instead, you will have one individual assignment per course. That is always the case. But then additionally, the professor can add some group assignments, which are often linked to the company visit or the case study or a guest lecture. And then sometimes they add in an additional challenge as well. But in any case, that is the way the assignments work. And then for the individual assignments, they are always linked to the context of what you've learned in class. So applying that knowledge that you've gained. And also, you get to apply it to your field of interest. So if you're interested in supply chain, for example, well, when you're writing your assignments on strategy, you can analyze the strategy of DHL for example. Or if you're interested in sustainability, well, then you can compare the marketing approach of Patagonia versus Shell and see, you know, from a sustainability perspective, what that impact has. So you can always, based on your field of interest, go deeper into that knowledge as well as getting that MBA knowledge at the same time. So it's a win-win. I also mentioned some of the things that MSM is really passionate about, our core values, our DNA, which shines through in our MBA. And the first thing is sustainability. Since MSM has been created in 1952, when we were strongly involved in capacity development, we've been trying to create sustainable mindset. And this is very obvious in the MBA itself as well. We also focus on entrepreneurship. So we know how important innovative thinking, creative thinking, and entrepreneurship is for the future, for yourself and for the world. But not only that, if you're not an entrepreneur and you don't want to start your own company, even being entrepreneurial within your class, within your work later on, to start thinking more outside the box, be more creative, be more innovative. Those are things that are super important for the future. And then we obviously, to be future forward, we know it is super important to be prepared for the technological revolution, which has already started, but to be able to really prepare and to be part of that skills knowledge that is needed for the job market afterwards. So these are also things that we believe is important in that return on investment calculation. For us, these are some of the most important things for your future. And so we've done that by including that also in your curriculum. So you'll see in your curriculum, you'll have your typical MBA classes like the finance and accounting and your economics, supply chain is there, marketing is there. But we've added an entrepreneurship. So as a core course, we've added in decision-making tools, which is the managing data, making decisions based on data. We've got your change management and leadership, which is all linked to that personal soft skill development that we talked about. And then we've got managing cultural diversity and corporate responsible ethics, which is linked to the sustainability. And obviously, the sustainability, that theme will run throughout the year as well in your courses. On top of that, when you finish your MBA, you get, well, during your MBA, actually, sorry, you get to choose a specialization. We also call it the summer school because during that time, students doing an MBA at other universities can join for the summer school. So it's a specialization phase where MBA students choose one of these topics that is listed here, and they can actually go deeper into that specific theme. And during that time, we actually have about 200 MBA students on campus doing one of these specialization tracks. During the year, though, for your cohort, the class size is between 30 and 40 students, depending on the year. We do not go over 40 students. For us, that's really, then you lose that interpersonal connection that we want to have. We want to know each student. We don't want you to just be a number. So what happens with these topics? Say now you choose entrepreneurship. Well, you will have it in towards the end of your MBA, so in the month of June, July, and you will really go and focus for 2 full weeks, weekends included, on this. Now, 2 full weeks doesn't sound that much, but when you think from a credit perspective, it's 12 out of the 70 credits. So it actually takes up a big chunk of your MBA. And the knowledge that you're going to be learning is going to be very intense. It's going to be very deep, but you've got time to work on that knowledge and absorb it a bit by doing the assignments afterwards. So it's a very busy, wonderful time. Students absolutely love it, and it's one of the highlight moments of the year. Now, another interesting thing about the MBA is that for your thesis, you get 3 options. You have the academic research paper, you've got the business consulting project option, And you've got a business plan option. So once again, as I've mentioned, MSM is very focused on that entrepreneurial side of things. So for anyone that wants to explore the option of becoming an entrepreneur, there is the business plan to help with that. If you rather want to look at the opportunity to work in the Netherlands afterwards, then I always recommend the business consulting project as an option. So this is a great way to get in contact with companies and get a feel for the Dutch job market. So that is another way that we've tried to increase your return on investment so that you can apply your knowledge in a field of your interest. So once again, we don't force you to go on a specific topic. You choose your topic based on your interest, based on your future career, what you think will benefit you the most, and you then work on that as a thesis. Okay? We also have some additional extras that we offer the MBA students. One of them is an innovation week, where during the week we focus on Kanban, Scrum, agile planning, service design, really hot topics of the moment, once again, to help you prepare for that job market. And on top of that, also linked to helping you prepare for the job market, we have a mentorship program where we actually pair you with business partners here regionally to help you understand a bit the mindset of the market here, what works, what doesn't, networking opportunities. Each mentor takes it, will do it differently. They'll explain how it works in their company, for example. In quite a few opportunity cases, students have gotten jobs thanks to their mentors. Even though this is not the main aim of the program, it is always a nice benefit when it happens. And as this all falls part of our career and personal development track. Now, career and personal development track is part of the full-time MBA. It is extracurricular, but it is activities that helps you to prepare for the job market. So it's really focused on 3 pillars. The first pillar is your personal development focus. I don't know if you remember in when I showed you the top 10 skills for the future, one of them was self-awareness. So we do focus on that because we know how important it is here in the Netherlands to know what your strengths and weaknesses are and know how you can use them, and also know what are considered real strengths and real weaknesses or developing points. We also look at career skill development. So the career skill development is really looking at what you need to actually stand out in the job market during your application phase. So how to write a good CV, how to write a good motivation letter, how to prepare for interviews, how to manage interviews successfully, the networking side of things. So that all takes place under the skill development pillar. And then we have the societal and social extracurricular activities. And these are all focusing on topics that we know is important in society. So we have debate nights and sustainable topics and challenges and other activities that you can really learn things while still having fun in a very enjoyable environment. We also help you with mock interview preparations. We help you with, we provide job platforms. We give you feedback on your CVs, and we offer a corporate week. So 1 week where students companies actually come and talk to the students at MSM students only for a whole week we always do it at the beginning of June so that you can really start thinking about your next steps in your career. Once again, part of that return on investment, we guide you throughout the year with this career and personal development track. And then as part of that as well, as I mentioned, we do have student challenges. Now, these student challenges are also an amazing opportunity to get in contact with companies because we actually link the companies with students focusing on the sustainable development goals. And students actually work as consultants for companies on these projects, and they actually have to pitch their ideas. And there's always, a finals and a winner. And once again, a great opportunity to see how companies have real problems, real issues, and here in the Netherlands, and to actually have that network, meet these companies, work with them on a solution, and actually make a difference here in the Netherlands as well. So that is a little bit about MBA in a nutshell. Now, obviously, I've mentioned already a little bit how we've created all of this to help you improve your return on investments. But I just wanted to highlight it isn't all about money. It's a lot about the options. And that is something that the MBA really will give you. And it's one of the biggest return on investments. According to the GMAC survey that comes out every year, the return on investment for an MBA can help with salary increases. In fact, our surveys show every year that students do have a salary increase in compared to what they had before they started working, or before their last job in comparison to their new job, and also in comparison to students that just have a bachelor or master degree. If you our students also end up being in a higher position than when before they did the MBA. Obviously, it opens up new opportunities. A lot of our students actually switch jobs, careers. Now, that is always more difficult when you're in a different country without speaking the local languages. But there are always the students that want to do that, and the MBA really helps open doors for that. It will obviously focus on increasing your network and give you the opportunity to be more confident in case you want to start your own business. As I mentioned, we do quite a lot with entrepreneurship within the MBA. The personal development and leadership skills I've shown in the courses and in the extracurricular track that we offer. There'll be a lot of development on that side. I know in a lot of countries, personal development is seen as something that's not that important, or something that's just assumed as not something you have to work on, that is sort of like already there. It is, however, something that's a lifelong type of thing that you do need to work on, especially if you want to work here in the Europe, or these are the type of things that will be important that we will focus on during an MBA. And the obvious one will be the new knowledge that you will gain, the technical skills that you might not have known. And then in short, for our MBA, the way we've worked on it, I've already talked about that, but I just want to highlight it again. The first one is the curriculum focus. Our curriculum focus really was created to focus on the needs of the market, hopefully by showing you those top 10 skills, and then showing you the way with assignments that we make you think, the way we focus on courses like digital transformation and sustainability and entrepreneurship. You understand that we're really linking that to make sure that there's no skills gap. There's a hands-on learning, because once again, that's what's going to make a difference for your MBA experience. So it does not remain just theoretical. And then your thesis, which we talked about, which encourages that creative problem solving, helps you to be with a critical thinking. All of these things are important during the year. Same thing with the individual assignments. With the individual assignments, you're really going to have to go and look at it and analyze and come up with your own recommendations, which is something that is part of those top 10 skills as well. Once again, that critical problem solving, the self-learning, these are all top 10 skills that the world needs at the moment. The group assignment will be teaching the teamwork. It's going to teach the sensitivity to cultural awareness, influencing skills, working with others, training of others, all skills that are highly needed in the world. Self-awareness, soft skill development, team management, all what mentioned before. What I talked about less, but also very important, is the presentation and communication skills. So the more for every class, you'll nearly every class you do a presentation. Presentations are part of and parcel of the MBA experience. And students that start our year and they tell me, I'm so scared of presenting. By the end of the year, they're like, oh, presentations, easy. And that really is something that makes a huge difference, as well as that confidence to be able to present to anyone at any time, to improvise and react and adapt, is something that you will learn during the MBA as well. And storytelling through the presentation is also something that we try and focus on throughout the year, because being able to present in a way that actually makes sense is something that is also one of the skills that companies actually struggle to find. So we really focus on that during the career and personal development track. As I've mentioned, the fact that it's such an international global cohort, it will really help you to understand new perspectives, open up your horizons, your mindset, and that sensitivity to cultural awareness, which is becoming so important in this global setting that we live in. I've talked about the pressure cooker and the fact that the pressure cooker is going to teach you really good time and stress management. We recently did a webinar where one of the MBA students was invited and actually said in the beginning they really, really struggled with these assignment deadlines. In the beginning, it was always last minute. And by the end of the year, after 2-3 days, they were already ready to submit. And then they had the rest of the day, the week to prepare for the next courses. And so they really learned the prioritization skills, the stress management skills, the time management skills, which is also so important in this fast moving world. And then the career and personal development track, as I've mentioned, it's very practical, it's hands-on, a lot of workshops, a lot of networking opportunities just to help you throughout the year as well to prepare further for the job market. Now, I've talked a lot, and it was a great opportunity to explain a little bit what we can offer you for your MBA. So the return on investment, the job market, what the needs are, how we can prepare you for that. And once again, the students, that's how when they graduate, how they do well afterwards. But now I'm going to let Alina talk to you a little bit more about the practical information. So Alina, over to you.
Thank you, Hermina. All right, a bit about the practical information, because I can imagine that there are a lot of questions with regards to the admission requirement, the scholarship, the price, and so on. I've already shared some links in the chat, but we will follow up with this information after the meeting. So you can pay attention to the presentation. So the price of the full-time MBA is 34,000 euros. And then you have the opportunity to apply for a scholarship of up to 35%. And we have a wide range of scholarships. And we are trying to look at scholarships that are merit-based, but also skill-based and background-based. And we even have a scholarship that is called Dean's Development Fund that is awarded according to the country of residence. So it's not for all countries. So when in doubt, you can always contact me or one of the recruiters at MSM. Inka, our colleague, is actually the recruiter for the full-time MBA specifically. I will share her details as well. Normally how we look at scholarships, you need to send us your CV, and then we can organize a Zoom session together, and we can look exactly which scholarships are the right fit for you. So moving on a bit to the deadlines, of course, we are rapidly approaching on the final deadline of actually for non-Europeans is 30th of June, and for people that are living within the EU, it's the 25th of August. So you would say you still have time, but time flies quite quickly. And I would say if you are considering to apply, make sure to calculate your time well when it comes to the application deadline. So the next application is 24th of March. So there is still time. And the sooner you apply, the more scholarship opportunities you have. This year we had a rolling admission, so we started a rolling admission in October last year, and it has been continuing. So we are giving out scholarships depending on who applies first, and there is a possibility that we even close at 30th of June. So if we fill in the classroom, so if you want to apply, be quick. Get in touch with the recruiters at MSM, and we are happy to advise and to even help you with your application. So look at the requirements, look at what documents you need. You always have like a contact person. We can always chat via WhatsApp, email, or Zoom calls. So you will get the support that you need to plan this well, and to be on time with your application, which is very important. All right, then. Regarding the application process, of course, you will need to gather quite some document, but good news, the whole application procedure is done, is digital, so you can already create a draft in the MSM portal. So the link is here. We will send that link after the meeting. And you need to prepare, of course, some very standard document. So your bachelor degree is one of the eligibility points for the MBA. So you need to have a bachelor diploma. If it's in a different language than English, it would be good to translate that. There are other languages that are accepted for the diploma, but that is something we can always check together when you decide to apply. Of course, besides the diploma, you need a transcript as well, and also a proof of English as well. Yeah, so if you previously studied in English, you might be exempt from having like an IELTS or a TOEFL, but if not, you will need to prepare an English exam as well. And this is where I'm coming back to the timeline. Yeah, so if you need to prepare all the documents, maybe translate something, or maybe take an English test, then you need time to do all that. And then once you get into the application process, you need to also get admission letter, get your visa, and arrive in the Netherlands. So there are so many different steps that you need to make, and that's why you need to calculate your time very well. All right, so what else? You need, of course, a passport ID. A professional CV, and my recommendation is to keep your CV to up to 2 pages, and the motivation letter. Motivation letter is quite important because this is what will differentiate you from other candidates. So, of course, we see a lot of impressive profiles all the time, but the motivation letter is the one that will really make you stand in front. Yeah, so it's very important that it's personal. It's very important that you follow the guidelines for the motivation letter, and when in doubt, always reach out to the recruiters. And then you also need 2 professional recommendations. So 2 of your managers or people that have been working with you. Very important, before even thinking about applying for the program, there is one criteria that has to do with work experience. So you need a minimum of 3 years of work experience for the full-time MBA, so you can apply for the program. Once you have submitted all the documents, you went into the MSM portal, started your draft, submitted, you will need to also pay an application fee of 95 euros. And once that is done and submitted, then the admissions team will take over and will look at your documents, give you feedback, and then they will move you forward into the application process, which is the interview round. Yeah. So if you have spent enough time on the motivation letter, then the interview round should also be a breeze. Yeah, and after that, you will have to wait until your admission letter arrives. Yeah, so that normally takes between 2 to 3 weeks. Regarding the GMAT or GRE, a lot of business schools actually have that requirement. You would need to do a GMAT GRE. For MSM particularly, it's not mandatory. So if you do have a GMAT, we will accept it, given that it's in the right scores and parameters. But if you don't, we have our own in-house and pre-leveling courses, preparatory courses. And the good news with the MSM preparatory courses, you don't need them in the beginning when you apply. You actually need, you will do the preparatory courses after you get your admission letter. Yeah, so which makes a bit the application process easier. Yeah. Um, Great. Then we have a lot of information here. So all the recruiters for different programs, when in doubt, just get in touch with us. And also we have our admission team, Steph and Carlo, and a link with chat with our students or alumni, which if you want to find out firsthand what is our students' experiences, um, just uh, go on the chat box on our website and start chatting with our students. If, for example, you want to talk to somebody from maybe your country, we can have a look and we can put you in contact with one of our alumni or students, okay? In case you don't find somebody to chat with there. And we do have a lot of resources. We have the YouTube channel, of course, on the website. You do have a lot of information. Um, and you can follow our social media account. We even have an amazing account. It's called Life at MSM. It's quite new, and we are posting there, about the staff, about the experiences of the students, about our activity, our events, and so on. Maastricht. So you can definitely go there and just get a feel of what it is like to be a student at MSM. Okay, and a lot of different events like webinars and so on. Then, for the questions, I did get some questions. I think they were not public, so but I will bring them up. And Hermina, I think this is for you. So, um, what qualities do you look in a candidate for the full-time MBA?
Okay. I like that question because firstly, every person is unique, every background is unique. So we look at a whole lot of things. We look at the motivation of why you want to do an MBA. We look at your extracurricular. So we don't just look at your grade, we look at how well-rounded you are. Generally speaking, if you just focus on academics, then that's actually managers need to be well-rounded people, people that can manage different things. So the more you've done with volunteering or had extra trainings during your life, those type of things, it's always a great addition to a CV that we like to see. We look for open-minded people because I mentioned we are very diverse, our program. And so if you don't want to work with other nationalities or learn from other people, well, then we know that you're not going to have a good year during your year at MSM, and the other students in the class won't enjoy working with you either. So we do look for that open-mindedness and cultural sensitivity as well.
Thank you. And another question is, how do you help students find a job in the Netherlands?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, we've got the career service and it's a career services, so the career and personal development track. And we students throughout the year have workshops from both in-house and external coaches and professionals to help you prepare for the market. We know it is important for you to find a job, and so we do everything we can to provide you with the tools to be able to go out there and stand out in the application process. But we also know that it's important to know who to talk to. So we really try and create networking opportunities with our alumni, with companies, with a mentorship program, with the corporate week. We really try and create as much exposure as we can during the year with the student challenges that I mentioned, the SCG challenge, for example. So we really try and get you as much exposure as possible during the year. But it is obviously up to the students to take that experience. If the students don't want to take that experience, then obviously we can't help them either. So the career and personal development track is something that has been created to help students that are really motivated to look for a job in the Netherlands.
Great. Thank you, Hermina. And one last question. Do you have any tips for a qualitative application?
Definitely. There's a few obvious ones, like the English. Make sure there's no mistakes in your CV or in your application or when you're communicating with the recruiters or the admissions. And linked to that, though, be very, very, very careful not to use AI. We have programs set up that will check that because we want to get to know the real you. We don't want to know what the computer thinks of you. So be careful when you're writing that motivation letter to not use ChatGPT to write it for you. Obviously, I'm not saying ChatGPT is evil. That's not what I'm saying. You can obviously use ChatGPT to make it check your English and make sure that's fine. But we really can spot if it's been a ChatGPT written motivation letter. So be careful with that because that's an immediate red flag for us. For the rest, we do like to check during the interview your motivation. Like I've mentioned, it's already mentioned in the letter, but we want to speak to you and we want to see you, who the real you is. And so in the interview, we really like to see how comfortable you are, how open-minded you are. It's an important moment for you as well because it's also an opportunity for you to ask your questions and to it's a two-way conversation to make sure that the program's a good fit for you, but that also that you're a good fit for the program.
Great. Thank you so much, Hermina. I see we don't have any other questions at this time, so we can wrap it up.
Perfect. Well, then I just want to say thank you to everyone that joined today. As Alina mentioned, we will share the webinar recordings and slide with you. So don't hesitate to reach out to Inka or to Alina afterwards if you have any follow-up questions. We know it's a big decision to make. It's a lot of money. And so we're also there to explain the tuition fee and the scholarship opportunities there. So don't hesitate to reach out if you want to go further with this process. So thank you for joining today. Thank you, Alina. And
Thank you.
have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye.